Alright folks, we're up here in the woods with the Ariens S16 hydrostatic garden tractor, and I have a bit of a slow spot in work this week for a couple of days, so I figured this would be a good time to get a jump on the list of projects for this coming year. So we're going to be starting out with pulling out the engine on this. It has a 16 horse Kohler K series, it's K341, and it smokes pretty good, needs to be rebuilt. So I got to pull it out and see what it's got for piston in it, that way I can order the correct kit and then strip it down and get it ready to bring to the machine shop to get bored over. So right now we're just going to be pulling everything out of it. Drive shaft has to come out and everything else hooked to the engine, obviously enough, and then I think I can just lift it out of here without too much trouble, hopefully. So anyways, I got my four-wheel drive Gravely dump truck up here to bring it down the hill with, obviously enough, that's the only thing that'll go through the snow this time of year, and some tools. So let's get to taking this thing out. Everything's been disconnected. As you can see, I had to cut the pipe for the muffler because nothing else was spinning, so I'll take care of that later once it's on the bench. And the drive shaft is out, and as you can see, maybe, the keyway is pretty well worn on one side at least. It's not really square anymore, and I'm sure that the coupler that goes on the flywheel is pretty well worn out also, so we'll have to take a look at that when that comes out. But right now, I'm going to have to go grab my dad, and we can get this thing pulled out of here, and then I can truck it on down to the garage. And the engine is pulled out. Came out fairly easy. Would have been better if we took off these side panels, but overall not too bad. There's still a lot of crap in there that I missed with the power washer, so I'll have to scrape all that out of it. And I was looking at the steering box when I was wiggling it back and forth, and that's got a little bit of play, and this adjustment screw is actually a little loose and maybe worn out, but who knows. There's just a lot of small stuff like that that's got to get taken care of with this tractor, but I figure at least I can get a jump on the engine and get that taken care of, so that way come springtime I can pull this down and really get moving on it, providing that time allows and whatnot, which I'm sure you guys know by now. So I got the engine here on the four-wheel drive Gravely. Now we're going to take this down to the garage, and what I have to do is I got to run it for a while before I take everything apart, because the oil that the guy had in this was like if you ever got glue on your hands and it half dried and it was that sticky feeling. That's what the oil was like in this engine when you touched the dipstick. So I don't know what the heck it was, but I drained most of it out, and I put some good used, just regular 10W30 motor oil in it. I just wanted to splash around for a while before I pull everything apart. It might make it a little easier to clean out the inside. So anyways, let's get this down there and get it set up, and we can fire it up for a while. Before I start this up, I got to do a couple things to it first. One of which being changing out the starter, because it's very worn out and I was having trouble with it before, having it spin over with a charged battery, because as you can see, hopefully, the starter shaft has got a ton of play in it. So I think I have an extra one of these up in the shed, so I'm going to pull that off and swap it out. And along with that, I also have to change out the points. I got a good used set I can put on, because I was having trouble gapping these and getting them to open up far enough, and it wasn't getting very good spark out of them. And there's no cover on it anyway, so that's half of the battle right there. But I got to change those out, change out the starter, and then I can throw it on the welding bench outside and fire it up for a bit. So it's idling pretty good. Doesn't seem to be smoking nearly as much as what it was when I first got it. You could idle it about like this and it would be chugging out smoke pretty good. So I don't know if it was the oil the guy had in this thing or what. But right now it's just kind of puffing it out every time it misfires, which isn't too bad. But either way, you're going to let it run out of gas. It doesn't have much left in the tank. Get it back up on the bench, drain all the oil out of it, and then we can start tearing it down. So last night I ended up pulling the head off the Kohler just to get an idea of how everything looked and where it stood. And it's a standard bore that's pretty well worn out. As you can see, there's a pretty significant amount of piston slop, which is obviously enough why it was smoking. So it's got a ton of blow-by. Definitely needs a rebuild without a doubt. So I'm going to get this up onto the bench behind me and we can finish disassembling everything. Mostly everything's been pulled off. I still have to pull off the bearing plate, valve cover, valves, and split the oil pan and obviously all the internals. But right now I think it's just warm enough outside I can run the power washer, and there's still quite a bit of crap left on this even though I washed the tractor once. And just to make it easier for the machinist, I just want to clean it up for him. So I'm going to run the power washer over it quick and see if I can degrease the rest of it, and then we can continue with the disassembly. So it looks fairly decent overall inside. Whether you guys can see in there, it might be too dark. We're going to get this connecting rod and the piston pulled out, then we can slide out the crankshaft, and I'll probably have to take out this balance gear here also. Journal's not in too bad a shape. Luckily enough, there's a few marks on the connecting rod, but I'm going to address them later. Alright, so I got it stripped down to pretty much where I want to be. I get the camshaft out of it. The only thing that's left right now is the governor gear, and I don't think that'll be too much of a problem, so I'm going to leave it in, being that it's in the upper corner over here. I finished scraping all my gaskets off, and I got all my surfaces clean. And what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to end up stoning the head just to see how everything is, because if it looks like it's really far off, I'm going to have them surface the head while they have it at the machine shop also. Mine as well while they have it. So, and I don't know how well you guys can see it, but if you can see the cylinder bore, there we go, you can see that there's remnants of where there was water sitting in here and there was rust. So I think this had some water in it at one point in its life, and you can also see there's some rust in the intake also. So the engine's definitely been through a little bit, and I know someone's been in here before too, because there was orange RTV on the oil pan gasket. So this isn't its first rodeo. And as you can see, I was running the stone over for a bit, and it's not taking off much because it's got a bunch of high spots on the outside edge, and it's running on the top of the bolt holes. So I'm probably going to end up having them surface the head just to smooth everything out again, so I know the head when it goes on will get a good seal and I won't have to worry about it. The last thing I have to do is just finish cleaning up some of the miscellaneous parts. I get the valve cover, the oil pan, shroud, clean up that, clean up the back of the flywheel and whatnot. It's just got a bunch of dust all stuck in it. And I just got the rest of the parts in a milk crate for now. I also have to measure my journal on the crankshaft and see if I'm going to want to do another connecting rod or not, because the other one's got a couple of small marks in it. I'm not sure if I want to reuse it, but all in due time we'll have to see. But that's pretty much all for now. I at least want to get this thing stripped down so it'll be ready to go to the machine shop, which I probably won't be bringing it there for another couple of weeks, as time allows and whatnot, and then I have to order parts on top of that. So I'm sure you guys will be a while seeing more updates on this, but I at least wanted to get this all taken care of and show you guys what's been going on. So anyways, folks, there you have it. And it's just that simple, folks.